All right.
Goodness gracious. All right. Yeah. That was a great intro.
That
So
coming down the
we
right
are
pipe.
uh no, it was just a little harsher than I thought it was gonna
Okay.
be for the big gulp that I took,
Gotcha.
is what it was. So yeah. Um that
Good
aside, hey
afternoon.
folks, greetings and salutations
Greetings
on
and
this wonderful
salutations.
Sunday. And we are here
We are
to
here.
wrap up season 1 of this wonderful show, Foundation. And oh boy, are
Oh
these
boy.
2 episodes juicy.
Juicy. Yeah.
Juicy, juicy, juicy. How are we today, cousin?
I am good. I'm trying not to complain too much, or you say converse too much about what's
We
going on in the
converse.
sphere. But I'm getting through it. The sun zapped me yesterday, but today I'm alive, and I can see
Sheer
my
cruel
way
master.
clear to my kids' fall break, and also a break for me from work. So we're taking a little break. Thank God this week.
Indeed.
A needed break. So we're very happy about that, which is why we're doing this on a Sunday instead of
Yes.
Thursday because I will be away. But yes,
Yes.
should be a good trip.
Indeed. Yes. Hello, Luna. And you are correct. Packed with foreshadowing, packed with things coming to fruition. The leaps that we thought were going to happen have leapt,
Have
and people
left.
are coming together. The timelines are now more solidified and caught up to each other. It's very, very interesting how they do time. And I want to say very realistic thinking, because we're doing all these heavy jumps to where there's a lot of times more than a century goes by
Hmm.
in these jumps, but the timing and the way they show things that have happened around these jumps, it's easy to forget, I think, when we're looking at Empire, that those aren't the same 3 dudes, because
Yes.
enough time has passed for dawn that we lost saw to become dark through this timeline. So this is a whole brand new dawn, day, and dusk that we have here. So it's I always have to keep that in mind, and it's very interesting always to see, because you can see as we'll come to know as we speak about these 2 episodes in particular, the flaws that have been engineered into the DNA sequences that make them not so Empire as much as they thought they were.
Yeah.
So
And
let's kick it off there.
it's interesting that you talk about the time and how they've done that and how time is kind of warped for us because the narrator starts off episode 9 called The First Crisis with a quote that says, "What was mankind's first invention?" She would argue it's history itself. Its
Mm,
narrative, a villain becomes its narrative. A villain becomes a hero, a lie becomes the truth. And ain't that the
yeah.
truth from a lot of things that we have even experienced ourselves here in reality? So
In
I
reality,
was
and even in our own storytelling, I think there's a line. I don't know if you ever saw the movie. I think it's called Jack the Giant Slayer. It
hmm
was another retelling of
yeah,
Jack and the
Jack and the
Beanstalk.
Beanstalk, yeah.
And once the giants actually caught Jack and the intruders that were in their world, said, well, because he was telling them a little bit of the history, and they were looking like, of course, they were completely lost. They had no idea that giants were even still a thing. And he was like, oh, we've gone from legend into myth now. Oh, it's been
Right.
that long, I didn't notice. And that is a thing that you really have to take in like the full scope of with a show like this and the way they're telling the story, because time is everything.
Yep. Time and the stories that pull through time
Mm.
about your history, because that
And who
quote,
wrote those
those who don't
stories?
know the history are doomed to repeat it.
Doomed to
It's so,
repeat it,
so
and it's
true
never
because
good.
you're never really 100%. Mankind is by nature flawed, and we're
Very.
gonna tell the story from our perspective.
Yeah.
That line. There's 3 truths: your truth, my truth, and God.
And or your
Because
truth,
the
my truth,
perspective
and
is
the
going to
actual
and the
truth.
actual truth exactly, right? So it's that's key here.
Very
So
key. Yeah, let's put
we
a pin in that,
actually, yeah,
especially.
we're gonna put a pin in that. We start with baby Salvor and her dad, who I told you we were gonna see again in a couple of
So
flashbacks.
cute.
So
I love the
they gave us this
relationship.
scene. This was adorable and like
So
gave us
adorable.
even more backstory about this world and how it came to be. And he tells her that they were
What is
humans.
she like? 10 here? Maybe
Maybe,
8, 9 or 10. I think
maybe she's young, but
somewhere around
remember
there.
she's also different. So her
Yeah, yeah. Her
appearance
brain is
of
already like 19, but
understanding or her
yeah.
presentation about how she understands the world is different,
Hmm.
like little child genius type of thing, because she asks these
It's that
very
question she starts
introspective
with.
questions,
Yeah.
like Pops
Where
is
do we
schooling
come
her
from?
on, yeah, where do you come from? They're looking at the stars through a telescope and they're talking about
Yes,
it,
Luna.
and that um he tells her that they come from a place called Earth, and they were humans, and violence
Can
is
we
the
expound
last
on that part a little
refuge.
bit?
Yeah, sure.
Because what I really liked about that is he said, well, no, she said, well, where do we come from? He said Trantor, and she was like, I meant humans, Dad, like not our,
Oh,
not our family, but I meant like us as people, period. And he went through a whole bunch of different places, and it was towards the end where he started naming things that we would actually recognize, like Alpha Centauri
mm-hmm.
and different bodies, stars, smaller moons and planets that are
Solar
in our
systems.
sphere
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
And he says, and some people think that we came from just this one little world called Earth. And she was like, "Wait, just one?" Because that's how vast
That's how vast
Empire
their
is.
view of
There's
the
whole
empire
solar
is. It's
systems up
empires
there,
and solar systems for them. It's not.
whole solar
It's not
systems.
planet and
She can't fathom
one.
just one planet of people. It
Correct.
makes no
Or
sense
one
in her
solar
brain.
system. That is amazing. Imagine
That
how
is
your
amazing.
mind expands knowing that that's a tangible, real thing you can touch. Um,
Yep.
they try to tell us that here, but they keep telling us we are the only habitable planet in this solar system. So, which they don't know
Except
that.
we're not. They just don't technically count the other bodies of I'm going to say planets out there that can be survived, that are, I believe it's like a M class or L class planets that are out there.
Hmm.
They don't necessarily count them the exact same way as they do Earth or any of the other planets in that they
Right.
say is in the solar system. That's all it is.
Yeah. So he tells her
You're
that
right, Luna.
the one
Gotta
thing
start
about
collecting them.
humans is that violence is the last refuge of the incompetent, and she holds that one to adulthood. And then he says past behavior is the best predictor of future performance. Um,
Which is
which
basically know your past.
there you go. You got to
Know
know
your
your
past.
history in order to have a future.
And
Um,
actually, to add into what you just said, where he said what the saying that he gave her that she held all the way through, both of them are wardens,
yeah, both of them are wardens.
and both of them were good at their job because
Yep,
their absolute very last resort was always
violence.
violence. They
Yeah,
would go through
which is
everything they could before going to that.
it's
So
interesting
once
to
it
me.
got to there for them,
Also,
that's when you know shit was serious.
right. He also said before that he didn't 100% believe in Harry Seldon. He only believed in the woman he was
He was
in
there
love
for his
with.
boo.
But it's interesting that his core values align
Yeah.
so well with Harry's. So that was probably an easy transition for him to be like, all right, cool, I could get with this, you know.
Hmm. Well,
So
not
I
even that
thought
he
that
could
was
get with it, but
interesting.
he's like, you know what?
No,
I'm not gonna fight you too
he
tough on it, boo.
believed
I get it. I'm
No,
good
he
here. I'm good
believed
here.
in the
How we are.
preservation of the past information to inform
Yes,
whatever future
that
humans are
part
going to
indeed.
have.
Yeah,
That's the part, is what I'm saying. So
yeah.
clearly, they were aligned in that way. So, like, he might not have drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and went in eyes
Mhm.
blind.
Indeed.
However, he found foundational footing in the
He found his own
foundation,
purpose there within
and
within the
yeah.
foundation. Right.
Correct. So I thought that was really cool for us to that in 5 minutes they showed us a lot
There. Yeah, and that's how it
just in
started.
that
Yeah, that's how we
conversation,
started this. Such a
So
great
then
conversation.
we come back to the quote unquote present, where Salvor is on the ship and she's mid jump, and Lewis has apparently jumped them. You know, we see her jump, and the ship stops, and she's awake, and she goes over and she
She's the
sees
first
that
one to wake up.
Lewis has jumped them home, and in doing so, he died.
He
And he has
died.
her coin in his hand, which I did mention last time, but it actually happens in this episode. And then she goes to through the ship, and she tries to call Terminus, um, to the ship that she had um, with Hugo. Tries to
Hugo.
call
Yep.
Terminus, and then she finds Hugo because Hugo actually was able to get help when he sent out
Mhm.
his beacon, and those guys came and they kind of latched on to the jump when the ship jumped, and so he
Yeah.
was right there next to her.
And we found out that the first thing he says is, "Yeah, our plan worked flawlessly."
Yes.
The fuck you mean
Yeah.
plan? We were both over here holding our breath, and we did talk about
Well,
this a little bit last time. But
because I
we
knew
were
I didn't
both
want
in
to
here
get
looking
into
like,
it
"Oh
too
my god,
much.
he's dead."
He's
How,
dead.
how the hell is he
Yeah.
gonna die now? Wait, no, no, this is too
You
soon.
can't lose
No,
because Daddy
they already
let
had
her
this planned
do.
out.
Yep. Yep. They had it planned out that he was gonna try and, get the comms up and get some
Yep,
help there, and he did. He got his thespians there, and they helped
yep, got
him.
all his people there.
So they decide that they should. He's like, let's just leave again with the let's run away, Salvor.
He's like, okay, look, we saved everybody. These people are back home. Look, they can handle it from here. You want to
They'll be
just like,
fine. It's fine. We can't say we
we
didn't
don't
save
need to
anyone that
stay
came with
here.
us. We don't need to stay here. They'll use their ship. They'll do some things with it. They'll be fine.
And you
So
are, I absolutely concur with this
he's,
comment from Luna. Like Hugo, what a
he's
man. He knows his
amazing.
woman and completely believes in
Yes.
her 100%. And let's not forget again, Hugo's people, whatever, I don't think we are ever told what his actual species is. They look human, but they're not humans. Dude, like I said, he's like a Numenor. He's like a 100 something, 111 years old. We'll say that. He's 100 something years old already. And he looks like he's, what, 40? Maybe?
It's his calm, like, just accommodating nature
Look,
that's awesome. But then, in the
they
same
fit.
vein, he's like a fierce fighter and whatever, stubborn as hell as well.
If he believes in you,
That's
if
it.
you have his heart,
Heart
that man
he
will do
believes in,
anything for
and
you under the
ain't
sun
nobody gonna tell him nothing else. He'll
at
follow her
all.
over a cliff.
And I think we've seen that a few times. Matter of fact, I
Yep.
think he did go over a cliff one time, and it
Mhm.
worked out for the best.
Yeah. So Salvor
Oh
goes to
man,
Terminus. She takes her ship and she goes to Terminus, and she finds everybody's knocked out because the Norfield has
you might be right,
expanded.
Luna.
The
Thank you.
null field. Yeah, he's thespian. He is thespian.
Yes,
He actually speaks the
I
language
forgot
and
we did
everything.
learn that. Thank you, Luna.
Yeah. But I think it's working in that space that slows down your aging or something. They
Is
mention
it?
it briefly in some, yeah,
I need to go.
in
I'm gonna
in
have to
one
go
of the
look up the science on
episodes,
it. Yeah,
but yeah.
I didn't. I thought it's because they were a different like strand of human.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that one. And they don't get into the thespian history, but yeah, that would be interesting. There's a lot of side stories that could happen, honestly.
I've
So
seen that. Yeah.
yep. So everybody's knocked out. She finds her mother. She tries to wake her up. She doesn't. She brings the prime radiant to the vault itself, and it actually triggers it from the memory of Gale. So the radiant opens, and the vault opens, and everyone wakes up. The
And
Thesbans then
let's
land.
remember,
Sure.
everyone is asleep because last time, like we mentioned, her mom was trying to tell the idiots
Yep.
that were holding everybody captive, like, hey, this shit is coming down. We need to
Right.
like head for the hills. And he wanted to laugh, and because he's Billy Badass, he thought it was cool. And
Exactly.
everybody in the whole camp is passed out.
Yes. So the Thesbans land and they disarm the Anacreans. So excuse me, Hugo and his crew come in like the heroes that they are, and they disarm the Anacreans that are there. And then Farah, of course, she survives.
Freaking
Farah,
and gets away because
she
she
had,
was tied
yeah,
up.
Salvor had tied her up on the bridge of the Invictus,
Mm-hmm.
But homegirl got herself out of that, and she went to one of the Thespin ships and commandeered it, killed one pilot. She
Killed the
wasn't gonna
one that
fall.
wasn't
She wasn't
necessary.
gonna fall for the okie doke with her slaving it to the other one, like Hugo and Salvor did to her before. She killed. She's like, who's in charge of this ship? Who is this
You know
slave
what?
to? This person. Bop. Kills the
But
other person.
I
Like,
wasn't even surprised. And actually, her whole next sequence that we're about to get into, none of it surprised me because Salvo already told us this shit was won't happen.
she's just, yeah.
Like
She's just
she
reckless.
has a one track mind and
Yes.
she's selfish. It's not about her
And
people. I
now her
honestly
new object of
never
revenge is
was.
Salvor. That's all she cares about is killing
Yep.
her right now
And
because she ruined her
that's all
plan.
she has.
And it's just one person, one object of revenge to another. Like, girl,
Which is
I
really
was
sad
kind of over
because
her because there's so much more going on right now, and she's not willing to hear or
and
see the
she's
bigger
still in
picture.
her box.
Yes. So, like, you can't,
And
when
that's
you get
something else we
locked in
both
like
noticed
that,
last
you
time.
can't see the forest for the trees for sure.
Yep.
So anyway,
Yep. You gotta look at the bigger picture, Ma.
yep. So they land, they do that. So she takes the ship. She has her slave the ship to her. So she gets down there, and she comes down there ready to fight. Salvor proposes that they all band together. Um, she comes there to fight. She lands. She's like, we need to take back, control type of thing. Salvor's like, no, we should all band together and use the Invictus. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Like Empire won't see that coming.
Empire won't see that coming. Like, she's trying to convince her. She's like, nope, I'm not here for that. And then the vault
She's so
starts to
stupid.
glow or something, and she starts shooting at it.
Right? Like, ma'am. And
I was like, you
not
don't
only
even
did
know what
she start shooting
that is.
at it, but the first couple bullets hit dead on, did not a damn thing to it. And
Nothing.
she just
It just
kept
went right
shooting
through
because
it.
she's just so much in her own brain and wanting to do what she wants to do. She can't fathom that eventually this thing is gonna fall.
But did you
No, it's
see?
not.
As soon as she did that, though, Salvor took the opportunity and shot her and killed her.
She had to go. It was past time for
And
her to
yeah,
go.
it was past time because I'm like, what is
Even
this guy's
even
story,
her
bro?
people were trying to tell her, "Hey,
I was
we
actually a
might
little
have a chance to do
irritated.
something."
I mean, they had to bring the Thespins into the foundation in one way, shape, or form, but I was irritated
Hmm.
that it had to be like this, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So
It could
especially
have been
because
better.
Farrah, if they couldn't have changed her to be on our side. Like, I wanted her on our side.
Dude, see, and that's what I was saying like the last couple episodes when we talked. Her and Salvo actually being on one team, getting together, that
That
Empire
might
wouldn't
have
have had
been
a chance. We should
fire.
have done this shit this season.
Yeah,
Empire would
that
have
might
been
have been nice
gone.
for
But
sure.
no,
No,
Far
can't
just
get your
wasn't that
wishes.
chick.
Sorry, cuz can't get your wishes.
I know, I know.
She didn't want to
Wishful
play with the
thinking.
other kids. She didn't want to play nice in the playground, so she has to go. All right. So then Harry,
And
after
you are
she
correct,
dies,
Luna.
Harry emerges from the vault. And he gives a little speech, and they decide to, yes, unite. He tells them they're stronger together. This was always kind of the plan,
He
to hope
tells them
that
the
these
real
three,
story of their
yes,
history.
of why these two nations have been warring. And it turns
Hmm.
out that Empire drove that wedge between these two nations because they never wanted them to unite against Empire.
And
So
the
they,
one guy that when once Harry started, bringing all this up, and the guy that chose not to listen to Salvo's mom, of course, is the first one to pipe up. Like, are you trying to tell us our own history? Boy, do you even really know your history, though? Hmm?
once
Well, there was a
again,
witness. One
lending to our
witness.
quotes from the
One.
beginning, those who don't know their history.
Doomed
Exactly.
to repeat it. And you didn't
Yep.
even want to try to listen to the facts.
Yeah.
Except the other
So,
side, they knew what the fact was. They said, no, that bitch lied. That's not what
yes,
happened.
she would
And they
never,
were right.
like, yeah. So
Yep.
there
And
you go.
Empire orchestrated all. What was it? Cleon
Ex-
the Second
yes, the
orchestrated the
second
whole thing
one.
because
Imagine that.
why are you going to let these two baby territories? And I'm saying territories just to put on a scale that we can talk about quickly.
And
You
yeah.
don't want them to unite when they have so much potential on their own. If they get together at any point in
Mhm.
time, if things go the right way, they could easily overtake Empire, and that's that, done, gone.
Yeah. And
So
it's all
why is he going
behind
to
their
waste his
resources
resources
and how
when
they're
he could
doing their
just set it
exploits.
up to where y'all can fight amongst yourselves and kill yourselves out, and then I'll just be over here getting bigger and better and just watching and making sure if I need to throw another wrench in y'all's plans, I can do that. But if not, go on and do your thing, little small folk.
Yeah,
And
it's
that
the
that
age
was
old
basically what it
story, right?
was.
They destabilize the government, drive a
Yep.
wedge, point to another nation as the people who did
Both of
it.
those nations could have been so far ahead together from
Yep.
that point on if they would have actually been allowed to come to fruition. But of
Yeah.
course, Empire couldn't have that.
So that is how the Foundation survives their first crisis. They decide to make their enemies their friend. So these three nations are now united. They are now the Foundation. They're
Mm.
stronger. They talk about how they're going
And
to.
invisible from Empire for the moment,
Yes,
for the
yes,
next century or so.
they are.
So they
So
have time to grow.
yep, they talk about how they're gonna hide the Invictus and make it seem like it blew up their planet type of thing,
Hmm.
and that Trantor is no longer inhabited by them. So they go ahead and do that.
I wish they would have tackled all the loose ends, though. We're not going to
Yeah.
talk about it here, but next season is when that's one of the first things that pops up. Like y'all forgot something. Ugh.
So then on Trantor, Dawn is plotting his escape with the gardener, and
This
he is
boy.
such a punk. Oh my god. He's so skittish and scared, and I knew he was gonna mess up at some
You
point
know,
unless he like
you know what got
knocked him
me?
out.
What really got me is even before that, like, and we've seen this coming for like the past two episodes. Homegirl been doing her job exactly what
Mm-hmm.
she was supposed to be doing
On
and
her
working,
grind.
and he's trying to figure out the right route to
Mm,
sneak by and get to where she is and be away from the castle. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
right.
Brother Dawn is then summoned. You know, I think he's late to a thing that he's supposed to be doing with Brother
Supposed to
Dusk,
meet with Dusk.
and
Yeah.
it's not even a long meeting. Dusk has maybe like two things to impart on this boy, and if he says, "Look, I need you to think about these things. I just wanted you to see this scene right here. Like this is where you see all three of us come together, and this should have been the first clue." Because just from the wording that Dusk was using, and this man is painting with more than the colors that you're seeing, Lil Dawn, you should have already suspected just in that right there that he knew there was a defect with you.
I'm just saying, what he should have done was put that little thing somewhere underneath his hair,
And why,
covered it
why did
up.
it have
Like
to be
you
around
gotta
his
be smarter.
temples?
You gotta
I
be
don't get that.
smarter.
You could have
Like
put it behind your ear
he
if
was
you were
talking
really
to you
that
about
worried.
stuff right in your face that you couldn't see right in front of your face.
You cannot properly want to be doing shit that a spy does if you really not trying to study and be on your
That's
espionage,
when I
Dawn.
knew that his
I
little
just
escape plan was not going to work. I was
and
like,
it
"Oh,
was not going to work.
they are gonna
Dawn
duck."
told him, not Dawn. I'm sorry. Dusk said specifically, "I will leave you with these words, brother, to think on everything that they may impart for the future." Or I'm ad libbing that, right?
Yeah,
Something
something
like that.
like
He
that.
says, "I need you to think about what you're doing and what is going on right now." That should have been the cue that, bro, you caught. This
Yeah,
is a parent talking to their child, asking their child what happened. They don't need to know what happened. They already know. They just want to see how the kid's going to deal with this and if they're going to lie or not.
correct. This was the
And
stunning
Dawn
moment
did
of
not
all
catch any
stunning
of the
moments.
context clues.
He didn't care to.
He ran
Because
skittish back
he's
to
in
his room.
love.
He pulled a Celie. You remember Celie in The Color Purple when that first time she was trying to leave? She just ran around the room and started packing little stuff, not even trying to hide what she's doing.
Yeah.
Dawn, you know what? I don't feel bad for this Dawn at all.
Yeah.
I really don't. You got
So
played, bro.
when he leaves, he puts on his little colorblind things and sees that it's not three things that he painted that he killed. He painted all six. that you killed, son." And
Which
he painted the
again
other
was
three
the
in
fucking
red.
clue. You thought you hid that shit and you
He did
didn't,
not
and you
hide
still
it.
kept going with this
And
dumbass plan
yep.
you had.
So he decides he's leaving. He gets out. He tries to leave, and one of the Shadow Masters comes and tells him that that he wants him in
You've been
the
summoned.
he's been summoned to the Principium, I think it was, or the
Uh,
Hall of something. I think it
The
was the
Hall of
Hall
something,
of
I think. Yeah.
Emperors. Yeah. And he goes with him. He's walking partly behind him, and then he realizes this isn't good. He's got
He's like, you
me.
know what? Nah, nah, nah. I
I
can't do
gotta
this.
go. So he
Hmm.
shoots the Shadow Master or tries to or does something. He shoots him, right? With his aura?
Yeah, I think he stuns him, but then just
Yeah.
leaves his body right there. Like, bro, you ain't even try to like push him in a corner somewhere, like get him
And
out the
then
way of sight.
he escapes. He gets to the scar. He has to go through a lot to get to this scar. He has to go
A
down a
lot, a
waterfall, like it's a
lot.
water spillway, and
He
and you could tell, like homeboy never went through anything. Poor baby.
not at
I
all. Like, see,
exactly,
you know
Luna.
what the
Poor
problem
baby.
was? He wasn't even supposed to be doing this today.
No.
Again, this is testament to his skittish assness. He wasn't even supposed to be on this route today, and I don't think he took the route that they were planning for him to take. And he's a whole day early doing
Yeah,
this, so he is not prepared at all. He didn't even take any of the stuff that he was packing with him.
this is true. So
So yeah,
then
he looked like he
he gets
improvised
out.
a lot on
He
this
provides a
run, and
lot.
bro,
He trades with somebody for a coat so he wouldn't look
for a
like
coat,
himself. He was cold.
at
I
least
don't
he
think
was
he ever
smart enough to
felt
do that.
cold before. But imagine someone like that's what I was saying before when Day was on the Maiden and he had to go through all of that under the sun. So here we
Mm-hmm.
have the clones experiencing all these new human things that
New
they never had
sensations.
before. Interesting, right? So anyway,
How long?
he
Wait,
gets
how long did this process take? Like
it
him and
looked
the girl. This was less than a
looked
month,
like
wasn't it?
oh, well, I don't know. They didn't
Or
put a
was it more than a
timestamp on
month?
it for it. They didn't put a timestamp on it. It was
Okay,
it was long enough that Day was on the Maiden the whole time, right? And remember,
that's
Day
true.
isn't
That's
back
true.
yet. Day
Yeah,
is still in transit.
yeah. He
They're
was
still
away from planet. You're
coexisting.
right.
So it was between that time. It had started happening just before he went away, and then
Mm-hmm.
all through the time he was away, and then now. So he escapes. He gets to the scar. He gets to her house. Like he's doing it all from memory too. So I wonder if they have eidetic memory because
I
he's
would
doing it all
think
from
they
the
would
memory
have
of
to.
what she filmed when she was going home
Yeah.
that day. And he finds his path. He finds his way to her house because that doesn't look like it would be easy for me, Funda.
No, no.
Like
Okay, see, and okay,
navigate.
and this is nerd us that have gone through random little stupid games,
Correct.
playing in Brooklyn, running in between all the
No.
buildings and the back alleys and shit.
Yeah.
So
Don't ask me to go into
this
Vanderbilt
looked
projects and
difficult.
find the exact apartment where you live at without
Hey,
me
mother,
having gone there before.
right, and
Hello.
the first time making a run, he's only ever seen it on that little 3D map that he has, and he's trying to make a
Correct.
way, and he has to go through obstacles that he could not account for just looking at a
That's
map.
right.
The damn water
Yes.
reservoir thing he had to damn near
Yes.
drown in to get out,
Yep.
bruh.
So he gets there. So kudos to him. Look at you. You done walked ten
Look
thousand
at you,
miles.
we got a little bit of moxie in there, a little bit, a little bit.
And I after he made it there, I was like, okay, you have
And
where
he
there's
was
a
smart
will,
enough to
there's a way.
realize I can't be out here shivering, but I got this shiny thing on
Oh,
my arm. I don't need this bullshit no more. Matter of fact, they could probably track this. Hey,
practice.
sir,
Exactly. Would you want this?
can I
Yeah.
get that coat? So
But
that was
he's
smart. I
so
will give him
naive.
kudos on that. He
He's
did
so
play
naive
that part a
though,
little
because
smart.
come on now, you know what you got in your body. You know that once you left the palace and had knocked somebody out, they are on
The
you.
nanos were still in there.
They're still in you. So
The
he
minute
gets
you
to
didn't
her.
show up to see Dawn and the Shadow Master, his health levels were down on the screen that we know they're always monitoring, you were done.
And I was like, I was almost rooting for him when he got to her door. But when she opened her door and that face she had on, the greeting was salty.
You know
And
what?
like
Not it wasn't even that for me.
that
It
was
wasn't
when
that.
for me, that was the moment. That
I
was the moment
think
that
that
I knew that she was definitely on the other side,
it
and
was
that
all,
was
oh no, something was definitely off. Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. But it wasn't until, because she's still moving, going through the movements.
mhm,
She fixed her face quick enough to where he wouldn't notice it. And he
yeah,
went to take a shower. And then he comes out to ask her something. I don't remember what it was. And she's not even in there
change his
anymore.
name.
I
He
was
wanted
like,
to
oh, there it is, right there.
yep,
Here's where the okie doke starts. And she comes back in with the fucking gun, and I'm like, bro, are you still questioning what's really happening here right now? And yes,
yep,
he was, because his dumbass has not been through anything in his stupid little Dawn life.
yep. She's an assassin. She's a whole part of a whole uprising,
And
and
I
this
am
is
not
who
mad at
he
how
has
she did
chosen
it.
to hitch his horse to. And why did Homegirl tell him that he's a copy? His copy comes in, looks exactly like him. It's a
Mm,
modified clone of him.
which is why it was so easy for her to
That
get into that role, because
was
she was already in love with this dude.
with this one,
Like,
yeah.
that's her man, not you. You just have his face.
It was all
And
a
Kid
ruse.
walks in with all of the arrogance that you would expect
But
from
she didn't lie
Empire
to him
already.
about she didn't lie to him about
Not at all.
removing his nanobots. They were gonna do that,
He
but
said,
they were
no,
gonna
we are
put it
going to
in
remove
the
them
other
because
one.
he's going to need
He's
them.
gonna need them because he's going into the palace to infiltrate y'all whole shit. It was always
And
a
I'm not
ruse.
even going to lie, no bullshit. If this plan would have worked, what a hell of a story that could have been.
Oh, I wanna see
Like,
the
this could have
what
easily
if.
turned into
I
like
wanna
a
see the what
mirror
if.
verse.
I wanna
Did
see
you
the
ever watch
what
Star
if.
Trek Deep Space Nine?
I have, yeah.
Oh,
Those are all
okay,
my
the
things.
whole, well, actually, Star Trek, anything, the whole mirrorverse that they have on Star Trek, this could have been a great mirrorverse to
Yes.
see. What if they did succeed, and that the implant Dawn was put in the mix? Where could that have gone? Because I feel like some really juicy come ups could have happened, and I feel like our girl, what's her name, Dermazel, I feel like she would have just rolled with the punches the whole way.
I don't know. I
I,
don't know.
she's loyal to Empire, but this kid, low key, is Empire.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a way that she would have to reckon with that, and we coming up soon.
I
We're
don't
gonna
know.
see
I don't
how
know if her
she
programming
chooses.
would allow her to reckon with that, to tell you the truth. And you'll see why in
Well,
episode 2
see,
season 2.
let's get to that part.
Can I
Let's get
tell
to the part
you
at the end of this, though, and
Damrasel is
I
the
will bring
ride or
that back up.
die of all ride or dies? She's the definition of it. When they her pictures in
Facts.
the
That
chat.
is an absolute fact.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I don't
you
think
know
that
what?
works out well
You
for anybody
Luna, you're
involved.
not wrong. Kid walked in with all the swag. Like,
Yes,
he
he
was out,
did.
even in the dawn form, he was already outdaying the first day that we had. You think
Yes.
about all that swag that Brother Day, the first Brother Day we saw walked in on, now this kid has it already. That's what I'm saying. I would have loved to see him become Day.
Yeah.
That could have been an interesting story.
Yep.
Anyway,
They
yes, let's
they
continue. Let's
transferred the
continue.
nanobots into him, and as they're done and he's, pontificating and, doing his little strut across the room,
Doing
um
his little posturing villain speech.
exactly. Dusk comes in and he turns around and all of a sudden he's like struck, and then you see his neck get cut in like invisibility somehow. It's the Shadow
Mm.
Master who then materializes, and
Which
they
I did not know until that point,
save
that they
Dawn.
had invisibility cloaks over
Yeah.
here with the
I
Potteration.
did
If you don't
the
understand, that's a
first
Harry
time
Potter
we
reference. And I
the
loved it.
first time we saw it was when he found the three extra things that Dawn had killed in the woods. Remember he found them and then he disappeared into.
Did he do an
Yeah,
invisible thing with it? Okay, maybe I
yeah.
missed that part.
He went
I may have
invisible
missed that
after
part.
he found it because
Okay.
he looked around and he was like, "Nobody saw me."
Okay,
And I guess
I thought they just like threw some leaves over him, but I may have walked away from the screen when that was happening too. Cool.
yep. So he stops the assassin from killing Azura, and he masks her and takes her into custody. And I was like, "Oh, what is she in for?"
But yeah,
Whew.
yeah, and I low key, I understand. I mean, once we get there, what happened, but I feel like she gave it too much power. But I'll explain. I'll explain once we get to that point. There's a little bit that happens before that.
Yeah. So, in episode 10,
Yeah,
yeah,
Luna. I walked away from the screen while it was playing when that was happening. I missed that.
yeah. So then in episode 10, Day meets with Azura, takes her for a walk, and like he was like, would you like to come for a walk? Like Day comes back, right? Day comes back and Dusk tells him what's happening,
Days on
and
some other shit when he come
Day
back
is
too.
Day is in a whole different headspace because I don't know if
Why
y'all
is
remember,
Day
but let
always the
me
one where you got a side eye like you don't know what the fuck is gonna come out
I
this
don't
guy's
know
mouth?
that I ended that episode well enough, but when Day returned to the mess of Dawn, so I want to skip to that for a second before I go to
Go
what
ahead, go
his
ahead.
address
Yep.
with Azura is. Um, he was like, "Thanks to Dusk for saving the day," and he says he questions Day about why he does not want more, and he says that they are not people; they are just echoes of of Cleon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he says, see 2 pages prior. Um, I'm sorry,
No, you good.
I messed that up. Sorry, I messed that
So
up.
Empire does make mistakes, does
I does
she?
make mistakes. So the Cleon they meet in the throne room, and that's okay. I'm not gonna get into that yet. But he's like in a different headspace. The reason that I think he's in a different headspace is remember when they got onto the ship and
Mm-hmm.
Damrzel said yes, it's done. So she had killed Halima. They
She
had the
called him out.
conversation of where she called him out and she said, I think
Mm-hmm.
basically she told him he cheated
Right.
by
She's like,
walking the
I
trial and
know what
saying
you
he
did,
saw
motherfucker. You're not
something.
gonna
He
tell me
goes,
that you did it, but I know what
no,
you did.
I'm glad that you saw something, Empire. I'm glad that you were able to see something because not seeing something is not a fate I would wish on anyone.
On anyone.
And
I
when
couldn't
she said
imagine
that
having
to
to
him,
deal with that.
he clutched his pearls. He was like,
Right, he there. See, and that's the thing. There are very few times, at least from what I've noticed. You can tell me if you have a different opinion, but there are very few times that Brother Day is ever left speechless or without having a clap back or just a comeback in general. When that dude, when someone says something to that man and he can't say nothing back,
nope.
and the scene changes and skips, that's when you know he just went
Yeah,
like
he was hurt. I don't
like
know
there
that
was
he,
there was
but
nothing for that because she was telling the absolute truth, and what the hell could he do to her for that?
he's also a person who doesn't know what to do with emotions that he's feeling. And
At
while they are
all.
clones, they're cloned after a human. They have to have that in there somewhere. The
And
part
it's
that
the
they're
number
missing is
one
empathy.
flaw.
I don't think they have empathy. And
It's
that I think is
their
the
number
number
one
one
flaw.
flaw. Because
And
if you
it
don't have
trickles it.
empathy, you can't love, you can't care, you can't
You
relate.
can't properly run a kingdom because you don't even know how to identify with the people that you're ruling. How,
Yeah.
how
And he
and this is the flaw ever since Cleon the Second became a thing. This is what
and
people
this
have been trying to tell you. You don't have a soul because you can't even identify with
yeah.
who you are supposed to be. You don't see yourself.
Yep. This day is that one. Like I don't know that he has any kind of feeling for anybody until he has this conversation with Azura, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he takes her for a walk on a beautiful into a beautiful garden. This garden is, by the way, the
And
horticulture.
there is a reason. Oh, there is a reason that he pulled
Just
her in that particular
into that
place
particular, this
to
is the
have
last
this
time you are gonna
conversation.
see
And this is what I
anything
was touching on
beautiful.
earlier. I'll let Funda walk us through, and then I'll tell you why I said what I said earlier.
Yep. He's like, this is where we're gonna go, and you're gonna sit here and listen to me, basically. And he tells her
Facts.
that as a child he wanted to be the best, but then he wanted to be the same, and his son to be perfectly Cleon. And he always thought of Dawn as his son. And I was like, that is the first time we've ever seen any kind of
And
emotion
she was
from
the
him.
first to correct him, like, he's not your
And he
son.
said, yeah, he said,
No,
but
he's my brother and my son.
you have robbed him. You've robbed me of my personal legacy to make sure that this child is perfect. And then he tells her that he will be removing all 712 of her family members and
Just
839 individuals in her orbit. Anybody who's ever touched her life in any way, shape, or form. He is
and
going to get rid of them.
let
She will be
me
forgotten. She will not be known ever.
let me
And no
expound on
echo.
that specifically. Specifically, he's saying that they started with her. They tracked her parents, her uncles, her aunts, their children, her cousins, everybody, grandmother, great grandmother, great great grandmother, grandfather, great great grandfathers, all of that to as far back as they could. And that's just within her extended bloodline. And they tagged all those folks. They gathered them up into one spot. And then they started with anyone that had ever touched her life in any meaningful way in general. Teachers, maybe a shopkeeper that she would frequent more than others, or that her family would frequent more than others.
Probably
Those
even one of
people,
the shadow
their
masters
children, their
liked her.
family members, all of
Anybody.
those folks. So almost 2,000 people now are
No
going to
echo.
die
Yep.
because they were associated with her in some way. As soon as Empire hits his fingers up and does they're dead. And the reason I said earlier, I think she gave him a little too much of a victory in that point, was because, and this is gonna sound cold, folks. I get it, but it is what it is. You don't know more than half of those people. And I get it that you might be hurt that your parents are gone, but you're revolutionary. You're bucking against the system. You knew that by putting yourself in this, if y'all were ever caught, not
That's
only were you
exactly
in
what would
danger, but you
happen. This man
automatically,
obliterated half a planet just on GP. Just on a thought that they had something to do with the
and you
bombing.
knew what you were getting
You know what
into.
you were
You knew
signing up
this about
for?
him.
You should have
If you
protected your
didn't think that you
sister.
could deal with that, why would you even agree with putting this plan into fruition? If you didn't already think of how much your losses were going to amount to when you started this, you shouldn't have done this at all. You shouldn't have
Yep.
done this at all. And just by you having that extreme surprise, shocked, and hurt look on your face, that gave him even more of a victory. And that was my point in saying what I said earlier. Like, ma'am, you if you're gonna go out, I get it. You need to go out better than you did.
No, but
Is all
going
I'm
out
saying.
knowing that everybody you've ever known is erased? That's shocking. She's human. That's the difference between her and him.
Yeah,
She needed to emote.
true enough,
She
true enough.
needed to emote
I'm
and
not
let
saying
him
that
go
she
ahead and
shouldn't have
have it.
felt anything.
But that was the most cruel thing you could ever do. I was like, you are a soulless
I,
creature, and you just demonstrated it. And
I
he
see,
said
and I do agree.
you will be
I do
aware,
agree with that.
remember what you have taken from me. She won't even be able to taste food. They're gonna feed her with a
Yeah,
feeding
yeah,
tube.
because they're gonna
They're just
mask
gonna
her
mask
the whole
her
time and
and
put her
keep
in a.
her sensory aware forever.
It's almost like the I don't know if you ever watched damn it, what the hell's the name of the show? It was a movie first. Chris Evans, Snowpiercer. On the Snowpiercer TV show, they have a prison car, but it's not like our prison. They literally sedate people and then just put them in a drawer, and they're fed like supplements through tubes and shit. That's
Hmm.
basically going to be her life. But they're going to make it so she is completely aware of every passing second. And if you remember back what we said, um, when the ghost of Harry was brought up, and he was like, "Oh no, I wasn't. My consciousness was there, but it wasn't sentient in all of that time. No, someone could go mad like that. That's the exact reason they're making her aware
Yeah.
of all of the time passing, because they want her to go mad. They want her to have to deal with the pressure of that in her brain. It's like, and I'm pretty sure this is a horror story. I don't remember who the author is. It might be damn it, can't remember his name, but you'll know who I'm talking about if you look it up later. Basically, it's if you have to scream, but you have no mouth.
Yeah. No, that's happened
Like
in a bunch
you
of
need to rage
The
about
Matrix.
something. Lovecraft. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's something like that is a story by Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And that is a horrible, horrible existence. So that is the most, he went for the most pain that he could give in any situation to any
But you
person,
know
and he
why?
put it to her. And I get
He
it
caught the blowback from him being mad about being called out about not
because
seeing
of
anything. The fact that he just realized that he is
Dawn.
empty inside. I think Luna just said it in the chat too, that hey, you are empty and you have absolutely no no
Yeah,
purpose in life, really.
you have
You're
no
a
part. You're a
figurehead.
copy of a
You really are
copy of
just
a
an echo.
copy. So yeah, so and this has been the point that multiple people have brought up from the very beginning. That this is basically the start of the conflict. You are stagnant. You're offering nothing new. You
You.
barely have a soul. You barely count as even being a
And the messed
human.
up thing is, he wants the praise and glory. He wants to be beloved,
But
or more so
he don't want to
feared.
have to put that work in.
And he'll go for feared if he's not beloved.
He's that entitled, yeah.
Yeah,
He is an entitled person that cannot get his way being, what his definition, not everyone else's, his
right.
definition of normal.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get off him for a second so we can really get
Yeah,
into
yeah, yeah.
episode
Switch
10. So that
things
was the one part in episode 10 that happened, but I wanted to talk about it now just to close
for sure.
out the whole Azura piece.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We can finish
Find
that
out what
cycle.
happens to Dawn in the next episode. So it's called The Leap. Episode 10 is our
Mhm.
finale, and we open with Harry's coffin, who apparently he had left specific instructions for how his coffin to be prepared and built and where it
Mhm.
should go. And funny enough, when I first saw the vault, I said it looked like an upside down coffin.
Yeah,
I'm like, that was
I
weird.
remember that.
And when we see Harry's coffin, it goes through a black hole. So wherever they were told to send his coffin after he passed, that's where it was supposed to go. And it apparently went through a black hole and turned into the blunt object that we saw, the vault, and land on Terminus. So I'm
Also, how
like,
awesome
is
is science that their
how
science could predict what's beyond a black hole, and we don't know how to do that yet.
well, Harry did. Harry did. I don't
Yeah,
know that everybody can, but clearly Harry's been around the world, and I.
worlds,
And
multiple.
I'm trying to figure out what has Harry
For any of y'all
lived.
that don't get that reference that Funda just dropped, go check out your 80s playlist and you'll figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry. I'm
Shout
clearly
out to
dating
Lisa
myself.
Stansfield for that. Still a great song. Kudos to her.
So he that becomes the vault, and that was there before they even got to Terminus.
Yeah.
So that
It
black
beat them
hole,
there.
it went back in time, clearly, to beat them there. So we skip to present day, quote unquote, when the vault has opened and Harry is giving a speech to unite the three planets, and they decide to ignite a mega flame to mask the planet
Mm-hmm.
and not let anybody know they're still there. And then Polly steps up and asks if he is a ghost. He's like, "Are you the ghost of the
Holly.
vault?" And he tells him he's not a ghost, he's just a memory. Like, he doesn't lie to them, he doesn't deify
He
himself,
doesn't.
but he realizes the significance he holds for them, and he respects that too, which is kind of
Yeah. He
cool,
says, yo,
you
that's a
know
complicated answer, kid.
right?
And one of the little boys, and honestly, kudos to these kids. And this is the same group of kids that we saw in the beginning trying to see how far they can get and put their markers down. And the one boy,
Yes.
he's like, okay, well, answer like the question in the simplest form that you can. Do you remember dying? What did you see? And I'm like,
Right.
y'all have when we were 10, we were not thinking on the level these little bastards are. And, like, and that's just, and I'm not saying that to be down on them at all. I think it's great. I love how their minds work, and I would love
Yeah.
to explore like all their characters, but sadly, we're only going to get to explore,
Yeah.
and it's my favorite, so I'm kind of okay with it.
So then Salvor steps up because now she's floored. She's like, this person's been living in this vault the whole time. I've been seeing all these visions. I
Mm-hmm.
have to know what this is about. Um, and so she steps up and she asks him what the visions
He's
are that
like, "What you
he's
talking
seeing
about,
her.
Willis?"
And he's like, I can't validate you. I have no idea. And so this puts her at a loss because she's like, oh my God, I thought I'd finally find my purpose. This was all
Which
like
would
pointing towards
be
something.
really distressing. Because
Yeah.
who else could they be coming from all this time?
Right.
And we know that Harry's always had some extracurricular shit going on, so it absolutely makes
And
sense
you see
that
him
it would
kind of lean
be
his head to the
from
side,
him.
like, huh,
And he was
who
like,
are
"Wait, you been
you?
experiencing what?
Uh-huh.
Word?
And
Oh,
I
well,
think
that's
if he had
interesting."
time to tell him exactly what the visions were, he would have been like, oh no, you are
And
skewing
I
my
think
plan.
right. Had he known what the visions were, I think he would have figured it out. But from the information that he got, he was like, I understand what you're saying. I
Hmm.
get it. And I would be extremely curious about that too. But it wasn't me. I wasn't
Hmm.
fully awake that whole time. So I would not have had the capacity to do
Right,
that.
to do that. So
And you
then
remember
he
we
goes
said there were
back.
two kids she was
Oh,
seeing?
he does tell him that he does tell them all that war with empire is inevitable, that they need to be prepared.
You got to prep. We
Um,
need more time. Here's how
yes,
you get it with this plan.
right. That vault is amazing.
It
Isn't
really
it?
is. Like,
No,
oh,
you've seen
the
season 2,
tech,
haven't you?
dude, the tech in these sci-fi shows, man.
Yeah. So then there's a convo with Salvor and her mom, Mari. And
Mm-hmm.
they decide on a new plan. Salvor and the best, oh, the Anacrean Berry Farah, and they also plant a plant together to
And
basically
they pass
show
on the
the
bow.
unity. And then they pass the bow from Farah to
The
Salvor.
the
He said, "I think
the
she would have.
ancient
He
bow.
respected you." She's like, "I think she would have respected you."
She's
So
like, oh
that's
no, yeah.
gonna
He said,
come.
shit. She tells him that she did respect Farah, and he was
Yeah,
like, she respected you too.
she
And
respected you too.
this bow was given to um another kingdom in peace many years ago, and
Mhm.
now I'm offering it again to you for that
Yep.
same pact. Of course, the pact is now being made without the marriage, though. It's just their people coming together as one people, and it's really cool because I don't know if y'all know anything about me watching Game of Thrones stuff. When we talk about weapons, I love bows, and that bow, I am hoping that I can search online as someone has made a replica of Farah's bow because I want it in my collection. That is all I can say.
Yeah,
I have the Valyrian steel version of I'm gonna say it's of ice because that's what it was made from. Now I
yeah,
need Farah's bow to make my collection look even better.
yeah. So the voiceover says that it takes more power to build than to burn. And in
Mm.
that voiceover, we're seeing some things happen. Like 18 months have passed. We see
And
Hugo
how
has
they
become,
grow
yeah, they grow. Hugo becomes the
so much bigger
captain of the Invictus, apparently.
against all
Apparently,
odds. They say.
putting
Remember,
down
he's a
roots, quote
pirate,
unquote.
but now he's enlisted, and he's like enlisted in
Yes,
the space navy. So yeah, my
yes,
homie's not a pirate no more. He's riding for his girl,
exactly. And our
and
boy
she's the
Polly
mayor.
keeps going up to the
And
Invictus
Polly
with
is
them,
is
talking
his
about how
what
he
do we
likes
call
his
Polly?
apprentice type of
Is
thing.
Polly hit like his Padawan? Polly's his Padawan.
Kinda. He's like, "Polly, do you like it up in space?" He goes,
Are
"Yes,
you
I
damn right?
do."
I love it in space.
So there
And
you
this
go,
is why
Polly.
I said, we only get to explore like the full version of one of those kids from the beginning, and our connection we'll see once we get into next season is
Yes.
Polly years in the future.
Um,
And I liked him from the very beginning. He was my favorite in that crew, and so I'm glad it's him that we get to follow later.
yes. So then we see that Salvor is still warden, and she's going patrolling, and she's still having visions. She sees a little girl dive into water this
Mm.
time.
This is the first
That's
time she
clearly Gale.
sees the
First
girl,
time.
right?
Yep.
Yes. And she
And
automatically gets an inkling from this girl. She didn't know what to make of the boy, but the
exactly.
girl, she goes right to her mom.
She goes to her mom, Mari, and she goes, "Who was the girl from the water planet?" And
And
her
the
mom
reason she
looks at
figures out
her
that it's a water planet,
terrified.
that vision she had was a girl running just like she saw the boy on
Yep.
land. But then the girl turns around and looks at her, and she dives, and she's not diving far. It seems like she's diving into dirt, but you see the ripples. So
Yep.
no, it's a vision of her diving into
The
water.
water.
And
And she's
she,
like,
because she's so freaking smart, she automatically figures out, okay, water must be a huge thing on their planet.
"Yep."
Ma, who
And
is
she's
this bitch?
like,
And can you
um,
let me know real quick, please?
yep. She starts explaining to her what happened. Mom gives
Curious
her
in
the
the best
prime
ways.
radiance to give to Gail. She's like, "She's your mother." Um,
And she explains, I think her explanation was needed
yeah.
because it
Tells
absolutely
her that
fits.
when women got pregnant on the slow ships, it wasn't safe for them to carry to term on the ship, so they used to extract the embryo and save it for later when they landed. Once they
When they
landed,
landed, yeah.
those people who had survived the journey implanted their embryos and took them to full term. Well, this embryo belonged to two people who were no longer here. Her and her
From
dad couldn't do it, so they took it.
a
They took that
controversial donor,
controversial
is
donor.
what she said. I picked one from a controversial donor. What that said
Donor.
to me is, while you did know that perhaps people felt the type of way about this person,
Yeah,
you recognized what made that person and the person they connected with to make this embryo
exactly.
great. And you
Yep,
were like, you know what? Fuck it. If I'm gonna do this, I'm shooting for the fucking top, for the stars. And
yep.
yeah, we ended up with Salvo
And so Salva
coming from
asked
that
what
embryo.
happened to her, and she said she doesn't know, that she escaped in a cryopod. And Salvo I think she's communicating with me, and I have to try to find her because I don't feel like I can rest until I do. And
Yeah,
so they don't talk about
that's
race,
hard for
but
Mari to take in.
yeah, they don't. Well, I mean, come on now. You don't go telling people that they come from someplace else and not expect them to go find out what that looks like.
See, and
You
I
know?
think, and of course, I think she had that small amount of crisis that I imagine any mother would. Like, you're still my daughter.
Right.
Absolutely. And Salvo
Yeah.
makes no qualms about that.
Pick
She's
that
like,
up.
Mom, yeah,
No.
duh.
Those are her people.
However, they are my parents too. Like you can't refute that either.
Right.
So,
Right.
she's not looking at it as she wants to like set Mari aside in any way. No, not at
Yeah.
all. She just says like, yo, I have to go do these things. And Mari even says, you've always been drawn to the stars. And where were her parents drawn to, as we saw? Always to the stars, because that was their ultimate destiny. And sadly, they both couldn't make it. That was not in the cards. It was in the cards for Gail to make
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
that's the that is the ultimate path that needs to follow. I think she saw her dad first because that just needed to be like the trigger point.
Yeah. Well, also she needed the backstory for what happened with Harry. Like
Yeah, and
seeing
he was the
that
closest to that,
really did
right?
propel her forward in like, wait a second. But again,
Yeah, I agree with that.
she was kind of seeing that through Gail's eyes because she was Gail.
True.
So
Yeah,
I'm not
you're
sure
right.
that she
Every
was
every
actually
time.
seeing Raish versus seeing
Which,
Gail. That's an interesting
you know
point.
what's
Like
interesting
I want
about
to
that?
explore
They
that
were not in the same vicinity anywhere
ever.
near each other when they were children. But like
Yeah,
that first one we
homegirls.
saw with Rachel in the library, she was seeing it through Gail's eyes. So
Mhm.
was Gail having visions of
Maybe
him
Gail
and
had
he having
visions of
visions of
him,
her?
and she never
And
even
see,
knew.
again, the side quests in this freaking
It'd
show,
be so dope.
they could be shows all on their own, and
I know.
that's one of the things that makes it so great. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. So I was mad that she thought she was gonna leave, and Hugo wasn't gonna peep that. Like he didn't feel her pull away, like
So,
in a major
so
way. is from
And he
time.
said it
Like
right.
she's been so
Real quick,
distracted, her head's been elsewhere.
real quick, let's look at what Luna's saying here. You know, those that know and love Salvor know
Those
once
that
she
work
makes
from
up her
home.
mind to do a thing, she's going to do it. May as well give it. Exactly.
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 You
100%.
gotta roll
And I
with that.
think we saw that most from the very get go with her interactions with her dad. And like in episode 9, when they were having that talk as a kid, and she's asking all these questions about what Empire might do or whatever, and he was like, hello, it gets real noisy up in here in your brain too, don't it? And that's when she was like, okay, all right, yeah, okay, I get it now. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Where Salvo is gonna go where she feels she
Someone's
is
gonna
being
go.
drawn to. And the reason she has
Yep.
those instincts is specifically because of her, it's down to genetics. It's literally written in her DNA that she has this curiosity, she has these instincts. They are on levels that we cannot fathom, and she has to follow them. If she doesn't, probably bad things are going to happen. But because she does, we usually get through the storm.
Yeah. So then we see her leaving. Hugo tells her good luck. Like he hugs her. It's a
Mm-hmm.
tearful goodbye. Like she has to go by herself. This is her own quest.
She did try to run away. She
She did
did,
try
and
to
he
run
was
away
like,
without saying goodbye. He's
it
like,
was the kiss on the cheek, you know. Like I
yeah,
did. He didn't feel a bad move. He was like, I mean, I get it. I see why you trying to run away, but
yeah,
you should have did better if you didn't want me to get up. You're like, it was a
right.
kiss on the cheek, right?
Yeah, you leave me
Because he's
naked in
very
the back all the
hypersensitive to her
time
movements
without giving me a
all the
kiss on the
time.
cheek. Kiss on the cheek, say goodbye. Where you going?
Exactly, and he knew that because
Yeah.
that's how connected these two are. He should know better. And also, just to backtrack a little bit, just because I thought it was a really funny scene when they first got there and they're walking along, and she's asking Polly if he likes being in space and learning all the stuff he's learning on the starship. And they start talking. It's a reference to how we saw them talking before. Well,
Mhm.
how long are you here for,
Yes.
Captain? It's like, well, 14
And
long
Polly's
hours
multi-foot like
that
this.
I don't have
What
nothing to
you
do.
talking about?
And she says, I don't remember what reference she uses, but Polly turns around like, y'all know I know what you're talking about, right? And the minute he said that, I said in my brain, well, can you kindly fuck the hell off, young Padawan?
That's
Because you
what
ain't
he
needed here
said.
right
That's
now.
what Hugo
And
said.
that's basically what he says. He was like, well, can you piss off then? Because I got this to go
I'm
do.
busy.
And I
I'm
love
busy
that
with the
dynamic. I
woman.
love that dynamic. That's great.
Exactly.
That shows me not only has Polly grown more in his knowledge and in just being around people in different situations, but also he is genuinely in sync with his captain. Like this is the dude he's learning from to move
Yeah.
on to what might be the next part of his life, and he's thoroughly enjoying those skills. You know, he's we'll say he's a kid, but he's probably what, like maybe 14, right
He's like
there, 13, 14.
13, 14.
So
Yeah.
yeah, of course, he's coming up on puberty. Obviously, he's going to be in the mindset of what, relations, quote unquote,
Yeah,
relations
no,
can
that's
happen between
innocent.
people.
Adults be thinking
So
kids don't know stuff all the time, and they know. They know.
exactly,
Don't try and
exactly. Just because you don't want to think
hide.
that they know, they do.
I like
So
that they sent
again,
him away when he was being nosy,
right?
though.
They
Like,
were like,
as soon
okay,
as you
well,
pipe up, it's time for you to leave the room. Be quiet.
right, exactly. That means that you no longer need to be in here while we're
Correct.
talking amongst ourselves. Be gone, young Padawan. We love you, but
So,
bye.
to wrap this
No
episode
clothes for the
up,
next 12 hours.
we go two places. We go to Trantor because they have unfinished business as to what to do with this dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to the Synax planet. So we'll go Synax last. So on Trantor,
Yeah,
um,
I thought we were gonna
again,
finish Dawn, right?
yeah, on Trantor, they thanks Dusk for saving the day. And then he questions what to do about him. And they're in the throne room and they're trying to decide his fate. Damrzel escorts Day into the room. Day says it's time. He goes, "Don't let them kill me." And he's like,
This
you
is
know,
see,
trying
you know
to
what?
appeal to
He
her
doesn't get
nature.
there. he doesn't get there right when they walk in, but he basically starts seeing his two parents, quote unquote parents, fighting
Yeah.
about what's happening. And
What's happening?
Dusk is like, aren't you glad that I didn't let our dynasty be infiltrated? And Day is like, basically, look, he made a mistake. He's still learning. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Excuse.
And Day's
And
like, is it
he's
time
sitting
to
there
bend a
watching.
little? And
Yeah, right. If you don't
bend a
bend a little
little,
brick, we will break.
we'll break. We will
And Dust
break.
looks at him and slaps the fuck out of him.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell do you mean? We don't bend.
And
We
at
are
that point,
Empire. We do what the hell we want, and we do
once
what is
hands are
right.
thrown,
Yes.
that is when Dawn starts getting real skittish, and he
Starts
runs
crying
to
Dermazel, like,
Dermazel,
don't get them
and he's
children.
crying, "Please don't
Crying
let
in
them
her
kill me," because
arms.
he's already afraid Dust
And
is going to
she
get his
hugs
way,
him and then snaps his freaking neck.
and
And
snaps
she's
his neck
like,
while they're
this will stop
arguing.
the argument right now. She said,
And she
I
says,
am
"First, go
loyal to
ahead. You got the quote."
Cleonic Dynasty above all.
That
Dropped him to the ground. I'm
that
like, wow.
because they're still arguing. Like Dusk hits him a couple more times, and Day,
I
he
can't
bucks
blame
back.
her.
He's not gonna take
This
that
is
shit.
what she's programmed for. If this is what she's
Yep.
programmed for, then I don't know that she had a choice in that matter.
See, and I will counter that only by saying I don't know that she didn't, because we've both seen how her sentience has grown since episode 1. And I think it's been growing far before
But I
what
think there's
we've
a
seen
battle.
coming into the story, but her basic functions are always in that root code. So if
Correct.
she saw Dawn as a true threat to what could become of the Empire, she absolutely is going to have no qualms taking him out.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now,
Yep.
if there was a way that she could save and change him, I think she would have, because we saw she's been doing that with Day for quite a while now. But then she figured out, you know what? You're never going to change.
Yeah.
I really don't got no more time to waste on you. So ABC, here's the plan, and mic drop. I'm out.
Yep.
So she just cut that shit off completely here with Dawn, and was like, you know what? We can start over. We already got a clone ready. And Brother Day does looked at her like, I expect to have a replacement at breakfast tomorrow. And then he looked at Day like, you can go ahead and take care of this bullshit motherfucker on your own, since you wanted to ride for him like you did. And he walked the hell out the room.
They is hurt, but then they discover that all the clones are contaminated. They've all been tampered with in some way, shape, or form.
Ever since Cleon the Second, I think they said. This plan has been in play for that long.
No, I don't know that they said when.
Was it?
But
well, no, you're right. They didn't give a time frame,
but it must have been
but
recent,
they know
as recent at least as the Starbridge blowing up. Right?
None of the clones have been pure.
Guess.
Right.
None of them have been pure since that point in time. That's why Dawn was crying as a baby. That's why things have been off with him his entire
That's why he's colorblind.
That's why he's colorblind. So there's definitely something happened right after that Starbridge got blowed up, but we don't know.
The thing that got me here was Day turned around with all of the caucasity and looked at that dude like, are you saying that I could be defective? And he was, and Shadow tried to mask his words, but at the end of it all, he was like, yeah,
potentially.
Brother Dusk is being tested right now.
He's like, oh, is he? Well, what you're not gonna do is stick me with that needle. That's what you're not gonna do, because we didn't see him submit to any tests. But we already know he's different, just based on what happened.
He's not going to have a choice. They wouldn't give him a choice. That I think is where they wouldn't give him a choice.
Yeah. So we shall see. In any event, in the Blue Drift is where we are now at. 138 years later, we see Gale in a pod entering Synnax airspace. So she gets herself there. She lands. She finds nobody.
Hold on, real quick.
Nobody on the planet.
Just to see what Luna's saying here, and I agree. Durzel has lived long before the Klingons. Yeah, I really want to know all about her people because they're robots, yes, but they were
Yeah.
a whole separate race on their own of robots, not enslaved like she is. And she'll outlive them, which I absolutely also believe, so her loyalty to the dynasty, but it's possible that she's planning in a narrow lane of a long-term plan. And that right there, that's why I say, I think we've seen enough breadcrumbs in her. I don't want to say they're necessarily flaws in the programming, but we've seen enough, I think, of her in some of the actions that she's done and the responses that she's given. That's why I say this independence and the sentience that she's been building has been coming for a long time. So I totally agree. There's something that she's planning on her own to to fulfill her ultimate program goal of protecting this dynasty. And protecting the dynasty might not even mean keeping them in power. There could be some other way she could manage to save them and have them maybe be a part of the ruling class, but not be in charge of the whole thing. Because I don't know about y'all, but these fools ain't been doing the greatest in the millennia or so that they've been in power. They're stagnant, like Harry said. Like, we got to just get some new blood in here.
Yeah. So, she lands on Synax, and as she lands on the planet, she's in like this little boat, which is see-through, which is dope as hell, by the way. Not
Which
that
is
I would
kind of cool.
ever be in that.
She didn't even pull
But it
out a
was
boat.
cute.
Let's remember, when she came out in her little pod, the thing opened and she's looking around, and I thought she was going to have to start like try to swim somewhere or had a paddle and paddle from the pod. But no, she pulls out this little, looks like a sleeping bag, tosses it on the water, and a whole ass
Canoe
boat comes out of that with oars included.
Everything. And food.
And then she pulls out a couple of other packs, and I'm like, well, shit, that's
Survival pack.
fucking cool.
Yeah,
The
pod
tech in this freaking show is so awesome. But the sad part is she's looking around and only sees ocean. She only sees water. And the one structure she finds is like the very top of the last time we saw her here. It's like the very top of the docks that were at the building that she hugged her parents at and went off to Trantor. Yep. The whole, everything that she said came to fruition, and they did nothing to try to prepare or try to survive.
Yeah.
Everything is gone. As of right now, as far as she knows, she is the only living person on that planet. The sea life is still there. Absolutely. Yeah. Which I think is cool that there's sea life. We saw them a little bit. Survive. They sound like dolphins.
Nature will always
they look survive. They look like mutant stingrays. And yes, nature will always find a way.
Yep.
I feel like every person on our planet in real time should know that, because we're not the dominants here that we think we are. Not at all.
Yeah. So, she's getting around trying to get food and all of that, and she sees something in the water. She swims down there. It's a light. She sees that it's a pod. She pulls somebody out of there, and it's Salvor.
As soon as I saw the pod, I was like, "Oh shit! The timelines are converging."
They're converged. Yes, it's Salvor.
I was so happy.
Out. They go up on the little dock that she was on. Starts a fire, gets her warm. She wakes up, and she tells her. She asks her who she is. She tells her that she thinks she's her daughter, and she hands her the Prime Radiant. That is where we end. And remember when I told you in that episode when she was having that vision of her hand pushing the Prime Radiant
that
was that vision that Salvor was giving her the Prime Radiant. So she actually saw the future and she didn't even realize it.
She did, right. And this is something that Gail, one of the last times we saw her before this, that she just came into full knowledge of, like, wait, I can actually see the future. And that's kind of where it cut off. And we see here, she has passed that on to her daughter. And I think it's worth noting a little bit of the sequence before coming up to that. You know, she sees the she's like looking at the radio frequencies of some things, and she sees like this ping in the water, and she looks at it. She's like, "Oh, wait, no, hold on, that almost looks like a ship." So she dives. She rolls to that part. She dives down, and she finds the ship. She finds the pod in the ship, and she opens it. There's a body in there. It's Salvo. She pulls Salvo up to the top, gets her in the boat, gets her back on, sees she's still alive, and she starts to fire, brings her back to health as much. And when Salvo first comes to and she starts moving, she's completely covered, head to toe, with the blanket. And Gail starts talking like, I found you, buried in your ship underwater. Are you okay? What's your name? Why are you here? How long have you been here? And all that. And they go through those steps, and she's like, well, why are you here? Like, there's nothing on this planet. Why would you even come here? And that's when Salvo gets up and she turns and pushes the blanket off herself, and she sees that it's Gail, and she's like, well, my name is Salvo Harding, and I came here because I was looking for you. I'm your daughter. And that's how the scene ends, and Gail's looking like, huh?
Yeah.
And we get that one little close up, and scene ends.
Yep.
And actually, that's the last scene of episode 10.
That's
if
the last
I
scene of
remember
episode
correctly.
10.
Yeah, like that's where the season cuts off.
The season ends, and we're like,
And,
crap! What's gonna happen now?
Boy, it's
Cue Paul
this
Simon
has been
singing
such a
Madame
ride
Madame
already.
Yep.
This has been such a ride already for season 1. And again, we have to remember the timelines, and I didn't figure it out until the last discussion we did, that the timelines we've been seeing where Gail and Salvo are, I thought they were, somehow
happening
meshed
at the same
in
time,
place, happening around the same time.
Yeah,
but that was not the case.
Nope.
No, they were millennia. Well, not maybe millennia. That's too far. Maybe centuries.
Maybe about a century.
Apart.
About a century.
Yeah. And they just happened to line up just because of the way they cut the scenes, because to spread those breadcrumbs, like,
which
hey,
is an
there's a
amazing
connection
way
here
to
you
tell
need
a
to
story
continue
visually
to look at.
without having to really tell us every time.
Right, without
the year
having to tell
is,
you exactly.
The year is,
the only real time jumps where they put it in where it was noted had mostly to do with Empire.
Well, because it's about a century, and they all decant at like 30. So their 90-year, their 90-year reign is basically what we've seen happen.
Yeah, and it works out so well. So when you broaden that to the rest of the solar system that they're in, and you pull in what's going on with Gail and Harry and Salvo, it's so interesting to see. And I have been perusing some of the episodes of season 2, so I'm very excited for us to get back to that. Don't forget, next week we are taking a break because Fun is going to be doing some things. So the week after is when we'll start back on the episodes for season 2, and eventually we'll be caught up fairly soon. So when season 3 kicks off, we will be right and ready once it premieres. And I am
and they got approval for season 3, I heard. So they're good.
I hope so. Yeah, because from what I've seen, they've been doing a great job.
Yep.
So yeah, I am so stoked for what is to come. See what Luna says here. I like how the story of Synax run parallel to our reality of global warming. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love when they pull in real world tie-ins like that. When the climate changed and academic and technological advanced society to revert backwards out of fear of the unknown. Yes, exactly. And that's what we were saying about Gail's planet. Because of all the disasters that happened, they thought it was because, there are too many people that thought they knew a whole lot, got too much knowledge, were power hungry, and they ruined the world. It's much like with C. In that world where most people, the norm is to be born blind, because in their histories, the way they're written, people that had sight ruin the
Ruin the
world.
world. Yeah.
So if you're born, and in the time frame where see happens, if you're born and you can see, that will either get you killed or enslaved. Someone will either use you to try to climb for their own personal power, or they will kill you because they don't think you should live.
Yeah.
Just cuts. So yeah, it's such a gamble in some of these things, and I really like how they put things like that together. And this show has done it masterfully. So well, let's give a rating for these last two eps of the season. Where are you at?
Episode 9 gets a that one gets a 10 for me. Episode 9.
Okay.
Just the speeches, the conversation with the fact that they packed so much that I felt and thought of in that 5-minute
Yeah.
conversation between Salvador and her father. Like that for me, and I'm a daddy's girl, so
right, and that packed in so many things.
That brought home for me
just
a
that
lot of
little
things,
bit.
and I was like, ain't that the truth? Like he was gems. He was dropping gems and gems that actually carry through season 2.
Yeah.
And you'll see the why behind all of that. And um that alone, just that setup for why
Right.
they're doing this and how they're moving and why it's important for people to remember what actually happened so they don't repeat the same mistakes of their forefathers.
Exactly.
Like that is so important just in real life applications.
Right,
I
in
thought that was
life in general,
amazing.
right? That should
Yeah.
always be a lesson that is learned. And I won't say that I'm a daddy's girl. I don't think I am. But yeah, in the years that we have been able to be together and know each other, yeah, there's some wisdoms, absolutely, that my dad has passed on to me. And it's different dynamic, I think, than most girls and their
Right.
dads because
Right.
of the people who we are.
Just
And
how it happened.
there's
In the place where it
there's never
happened.
anything wrong with that.
Right.
And also, like, I have 2 family nicknames. You know one, Pinky, because apparently I was extremely
Pinky.
pigmented when I when I was born. But then they put me in the Guyana sun and I browned up a little bit. So, but that name still stuck. But for my dad, he always calls me firstborn because him and my mom's kid. Yeah, I'm the first of all of his children, which is kind of funny the way he takes some actions and conversations when we talk about different things. It's hilarious. So that's another reason why when I saw that convo with Salvo and her dad, and I was like, you know what? Yeah,
Yep.
Right here, bro. I totally get it, because you are going to impart different lessons on your children depending on when they were born. And exactly, and depending on who they are. And if you are an
and you're gonna do it based on what they need to. That's what most parents who are in tune to their children. That's what you do. That's just what you do.
Exactly. that right, and that there, I think, is one of the most important things. See your kids for who they are and help guide them along the way. Don't try to put them in the box of where you think they should be. Let them find their own place and then support that.
And I just love the confidence that he's like, you
imparts in her
amazing,
so easily,
and you need to just keep being you, even as an adult.
Always
unsure about telling them about the Northfield or no, Salvador, you see this, say it. Tell your mother what's going on. Let her do with that information what she needs to. Like
I think my favorite line from him,
Salvador Harding, don't fight the wind. Like he keeps bringing it.
Open your fist.
If that man does not get an award, I don't know if he got an award for this season, but he was one of those very memorable characters. Not a main character that was a main character type thing.
Yeah, so. There's so many instances there where she's trying to figure out a puzzle and something he said is played over in her mind, and she interprets it the right way she needs to in that situation, and it's exactly what works. When she's really trying to make that last ditch effort to figure out the puzzle box and how that's supposed to work, we hear him say, "Open your fist," and she does, and that's what helps her, what guides her, like to that memory from Gail, to twist it a certain way in your palm, in your open palm, to activate it. And I think connections like that really are just so freaking awesome. And
Yeah.
it's yeah,
And
I
Luna, you're
totally
right.
I totally love it.
That whole appearance of them, of her older, I would have freaked
Just
out.
right, because at that point in time,
Like,
they're
what?
pretty much still around the same age.
They are.
So yeah, to find and rescue them. First of all,
But
you're heartbroken and
how
distraught because
insane.
your whole
She's
family, every piece of
Yes.
your family, every piece of your people is gone,
First
and
of
you
all,
find this one random thing, and you
Gail has
find
just
this
gone through
person and pulls them
trauma
up.
after trauma
I'm your
after
daughter.
trauma. She left home on a hopes of finding a new way for her own life. Heartbroken because she knew she couldn't change her parents' minds to come with her or to help convince
And
the
she
people
can't
on the
go back.
planet to do something else. She knows she's never going to see them again. So the hug
Yep.
goodbye was a goodbye forever, which she knew. And she was never going to see
Her
them again.
parents knew that too.
Yep. Next, she gets to Harry, and the first thing he says is, "You're going to be arrested."
We're gonna
Trauma.
be arrested tomorrow.
Like,
And y'all saw what we had to say on that mark when we did that
then
episode.
she gets
Why the
she gets
fuck
a
did you
good
bring me
what?
here if I'm going to
She gets a
jail?
good what? Year and a half, maybe two of happiness with Raish on the ship while they're
And
going
it's
to
all disrupted
transfer.
again.
And then it's disrupted again because he goes and murders the guy leading the whole show and throws her in a pod with a
Technically,
knife,
is
tells
it
her
murder?
nothing. It's murder.
Is
It's murder. It's
it?
murder. It's murder.
No.
It's murder.
No,
It's
see,
murder. It's
I'm
murder.
I'm gonna pull in
What are you gonna
Chicago
call
here.
it?
No,
Assisted
it was
suicide? It's
it
murder.
was a murder, but not a crime. No, this is what I
Huh?
was saying when we did that episode. This is Dumbledore and Snape. It's not a murder if it was planned.
It's
It
still
was
murder.
planned. We didn't
If you
know
go
at
before
first,
Jesus
but it was
Christ
planned.
and you said, "I did it because he told me," he's gonna say you still murdered that man, and you had a choice. Okay, he murdered
Okay,
him.
either go with the plan and fail horrifically and everybody dies, or go with the plan and succeed and fewer people die.
Remember, by Harry's own
No,
words,
man,
this was unnecessary. And here's why: you cannot predict the actions of one
of an
individual.
individual.
And so, because the
True. Very
circumstances
true.
have changed, you don't know how that would have played out between Raish and Gale on the planet itself.
On the planet itself, no, but for the most
Now,
part, to where
if
he was
Harry
never
wanted
going
to
to
get
leave her, I agree with
well,
him on that.
he did not need Raish for that. He had his program ship. He could have let that man go. He was being
See,
selfish.
and that is actually a question. That's one of the few questions I think we're left with here. In that sequence, what did you really need Raish for? Did you actually go and
Exactly
collect
my
this
point.
boy as a child because you had already followed the math up to this point? But I guess Gale again was the anomaly. He didn't think to factor that in. But
He
what
didn't
was
know
Raish going
how
to be
much he would
doing?
impact the plan based on what she can see. He did need her to try and disprove his theory or prove it to Empire. Either
Yeah,
way would
but
have
he
worked.
underestimated how far
But he
she could really
underestimated
go.
how far she could go. And then she became an asset. And then he was like, you know what? You would be good to get them through that first crisis.
And
So you should
right,
be
and that's
leading
why he
them. So
tried to
let's
change
make
it.
you the front runner when I leave this here world and off myself.
Right, and
And
Gale
then,
was
oh
like,
wait, I can't off
nah, bro,
myself. I need
that
Race
does
to
not
do
work
this.
for me.
Yeah. So I
See,
question some of
honestly, you
Harry's
know what?
thinking right there. I feel like it was a little bit selfish.
I
Um,
It was selfish. I agree, but I also question again: why are you even going against your own rules right there? If
yeah,
you're so adamant on not being able to predict or take into account the individual, why would you think that just putting her on Terminus in charge was going to go the way you thought it would? I mean, not saying
exactly.
that Gail would do anything horrible. No, I think she absolutely still
But
would have
she has a
succeeded at the
lot of,
job.
you know how they say
But
you have your BS, you have your PhD, but you can't you have your CS. She has a lot of
yes,
common sense. She has a lot of
yes,
common sense, and while
a
that
lot
book
of common
knowledge
sense, a
is
lot of street
strong,
smarts.
her common sense and her instinctual knowledge, even though she didn't know she was following this thing that had a label, she was following what she thought
Exactly.
was just her instincts, the
And
feeling
also
of
following what she
something.
thought was right.
Correct. She has a
not
very
just for
strong moral
herself, but
compass.
overall.
Exactly. She
Yeah,
had a very strong moral compass. I think they would have been okay. And might have deviated from the way he would have done certain things, but definitely I think
I
she would have
think
guided them well, for sure.
yeah, I think it would have deviated in the best amount of ways, honestly. I honestly can't speak
Ah,
for
Luna.
Raish enough
That is
because
slut.
I think we saw more of Gale. And what Luna's saying here is, everyone knows someone who's good at seeing the big picture but blind to the immediate, intimate picture. Exactly, and that is Harry. That
Yep.
that is Harry to a T. He can
Yep.
see he can kind of see the forest, but
Not the
he
trees.
can't
Them trees
see
be
the
be
forest world
blurry,
for the
blurry,
trees.
blurry as hell.
Right, it's all blurred visions, and he's trying to get past the blurriness, but you can those outliers. You can't always take them into account. And
He's like,
9 times out
details?
of 10,
Who
what we've
cares about the
seen,
details?
luckily, our outliers so far have actually been forces for the better. Perhaps with the exception of Farah, but actually even
I
her,
was gonna I was
because
gonna
had
say
she not gone, had she not gone on the ridiculous selfish path,
they
then
wouldn't have
she
got
might still
there.
be alive and throwing a monkey wrench and things.
But
But because
also
she
they may
died
never have
where
gotten
she
to
did,
Terminus.
yeah, exactly,
They may never have
exactly.
gotten to Terminus to unite with this foundation.
Right,
So
because she did what she did and she let it be known, let it be shown to even her own people that she needed to be taken out of the equation, we wouldn't be here with the cooperation, and the sector 1 of the foundation would not
right.
be as formidable as it was until we get to season 2, and that's just a whole new ball game. And again, remember, these 100+ years that we're going by, when we see Empire again, this is a completely new dawn, day, and dusk. And once we get to season 2, it will again be a completely new dawn, day, and dusk. So again, like I said, I'm very much looking forward to the shenanigans that are coming. I've been perusing a little bit through season 2, but it's been while I've been multitasking
No, don't
and
peruse. You gotta
in the
watch.
middle of going to sleep, so I haven't paid attention to everything yet. So I'm
You gotta
definitely going
watch.
to
I'll
rewatch
tell you this.
once
I
we start
watched the
going
first
again.
time I watched the episodes for season 2, I watched for fun, just to be like laughing and like,
Right.
oh my God, and oh no, oh my goodness. But I'm gonna rewatch now and take notes and be
Yeah,
ready for
that's my
when we
plan as
come
well.
back. Yep.
Now let's
All
see
right.
what Luna's saying here. I'm not sure, but what about Salvo? How might her story change if Raish and Gal stayed together? It's high or on Terminus, or possible piece of Terminus free will. I don't think too much would have been different if they both would have made it to Terminus. Then actually, I think the biggest difference would be something that is shown in season 2. So I won't name it exactly, but if you remember, we did see a glimpse of something else. And in one of the streams further, I had asked Funda if there were two Harrys, and she was like, "Put a pin in that, and we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it in season 2." So that change is the only thing that I could really think of would be different, is to that storyline. But if they would have stayed together, everybody would have went to Terminus here, and Harry would not have seen Gale as a deterrent and tried to do what he did. I think things could have very much gone the same way, because Farah was always planning something
Fire was
for
always gonna
Terminus. So that
come
would have,
to Terminus,
yeah, that
apparently.
would have still come in.
However, I don't know that Gale would be the same person. Not Gale. Salvor would be the same
Salvor, right,
person because
being
she was
raised
raised with the values of the man and woman that raised her.
exactly,
I don't know that
exactly,
Raish and Gail would have given her that same tough as nails upbringing, or that she would have been
right.
seen as the outlier and so found her own path and been connected. I don't know if she would have been as connected to the
I
vault.
think I think
Maybe
there may
Gail would have
have
been
been,
connected to the vault. You
yeah,
never
yeah.
know. You never know how that would have went. It would have changed the story for sure, but I don't know that it
I
would have
think
changed
so.
it in a way that we wouldn't have liked. I don't know. But it's an
Yeah,
interesting thing to think about,
because
nature versus
Raish,
nurture for sure.
exactly, because let's compare Raish and Savil's dad. I think those are definitely two very different people, but because of influences, I will say, attributed to Gale on Raish, he became a bit more of a freer thinker at that point in time, which is why Harry felt he had to, try to compensate for that bit of the formula. Because, like he said, he was never going to leave Gale in any way, shape, or form. So I think there's something to be said there, but would it have been an extremely big difference? I don't know. There's a lot of things that could have happened, but again, there's a lot of things that could not have happened. Where
Right.
she
Salvor
raised,
may
but
not have
you know,
become a
she might
warden.
not have been warden.
Salvor might not have been the one that encountered the Anacreans and helped fight them and got the ship
So
back to the
who would have been
planet
going
and
up
all of that.
against
Like, who would have
Farah?
been done that? Who would have done that? So that is everything changes behind her having her actual parents raise her versus
Yeah,
her adoptive parents. So yeah,
I mean,
it
I
would have been
I want to
different.
say because of Gale, she would still have some type of fighting spirit and bucking against the system.
I
But
believe
would
that.
it have
And I
been
don't think that
to
Raish is a
in a
punk.
positive light or to her detriment?
Yeah, well, you know, the challenges of being the outlier and different and knowing there's something special about you. I don't know that she would have come to that
Mhm.
realization as early as she did
As
because she's the
exactly,
only one also that wasn't bothered by the vault. So
yeah,
now
she's the only one that wasn't bothered.
she would have potentially had two other people not bothered by the vault. So she'd have a
Hmm.
shared
Yeah, because
experience
we didn't.
where
They never explained why exactly she wasn't, did they?
it's
Unless I
because of
missed
her
it.
connection to Gale. Because Gale
Mm,
probably wouldn't
okay.
have been bothered by the vault either.
I don't think she would have, and because again, because the vote was Harry, yeah, Race wouldn't have been either. So,
Yeah.
and see that even trickles down then to the people of Terminus. That game that they were playing probably wouldn't have been a game if Gail and Race would have made it there because they probably would have known what the dampening field was even about. So that reasoning would have been given to everyone, and they
Right.
wouldn't be trying to
Like,
see how far
who can
can we
get
get
close?
before we pass
Who
out.
can get the closest?
So,
Yeah.
and I don't know how that would manifest in the future, but I think that's a very significant like cultural change for them because it's almost like a coming of age thing that
Yeah.
they need to do while they're there.
Yeah,
So
the
yeah,
kids probably
that's
wouldn't have been out. They probably wouldn't have been savvy enough to like fight back the
they
Anacreon,
wouldn't
save
have right, and
Salvor.
they wouldn't
I
have
mean, there's
been
a lot
the
of pieces
badass
of that
rebels.
story would have changed. Like
Yeah,
that
if
things
they
that moved
once
it
Farrah got
forward for us
there.
would have had to be written differently.
Yep. Exactly. Well, cause yeah, once Farrah got there, Paulie and the other kid that he was kicking around with that ended up doing the little Black Ops missions to
Yeah.
help Salvo and everybody else, they might have been in a completely different situation.
Yep.
So Farrah's plan might have actually worked the way she wanted it to
Exactly.
if
And then
Gail
this
and
foundation would have
Hannah
been
would have made it.
obliterated basically because she
Yeah,
wouldn't have
they would have
cared.
been over before they even really started.
Exactly. Crisis done. So
Yeah, right. And that's where the first crisis was supposed to be anyway. So Farah taking over and getting to Invictus, that would have been the first. And that's another thing that came up. Wait, did it come up in this season, or am I thinking ahead to season 2, where we see the diversion?
that's season 2.
Okay, I will stop on that thought then.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
season.
that's it. That's very interesting how that all leads up. So
But then we might have
overall,
had more diverse. You never know. Yeah,
yeah,
it couldn't have been
there's
written different. It
there's so many different things
same
that could
way,
have gone
the
on.
same outcomes. The outcomes would have been different. Now, all roads would have probably led to Rome in the
Yeah,
end.
eventually, right? We were just
But
got there a
yeah,
different way. Yeah,
yeah,
the other people on Terminus would not have fulfilled their yeah, exactly.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah, because namely everyone that Farah took hostage on the ship, that would have been a completely different situation
yeah.
because I don't think the hostages would have even had needed to be taken. that's very interesting to think about. I think for myself, for episode 9, I will give it a 9.5 because again, it ramped up everything we had already seen coming to fruition in this and in episode 10. And for episode 10, I will give that a full 10 out of 10 because
I'm gonna give that one a nine and
that
a
was kind of
half,
cool.
only because
9.5.
I like finales to be longer.
True enough. I
I do.
respect that.
I like
I
finales
respect
to
that.
be longer, and I like
Yeah,
for them
this
to
is just the regular
truly.
episode
And
time.
maybe they
Yeah,
didn't know how they want to set up season 2 or what they really wanted us on a cliff for.
only possible.
So that's okay. I'll give them that. That's why the 0.5. 9.5 is what I'm gonna give them for that one. But
I mean,
overall, the series
that's not a bad reason.
overall has my whole attention, and this is one of my favorites. This is, if not the best one on my list to date.
Like to quote one of my favorite memes, gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Attention.
So yeah, absolutely.
Is that
So I am
Samuel?
all in.
Is that Samuel Jackson? That quote?
No, was he in that movie? No. Wasn't it Jamie Foxx that was in that movie? No, it's Leonardo DiCaprio is who said the line.
Oh, okay. I
can't remember the
Is
name
it
of the
Catch
movie.
Me If You Can? That sounds like Catch Me If You Can.
No. This is way after Catch Me If You
really?
Can.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, if anybody's watching this later, put that in the comments for us. Or if you're lurking in the chat and you're trying to figure out when you want to maybe enter the chat for the first time, type it in
and
there.
Also let us know
how
you like season 1. Like, what is
yes,
your
absolutely. Yeah,
ratings
give
for
us your
season
scores
1?
for season 1 episodes, and if you want to do full episode scores, do that, and then also give us your overall score. Overall, I think this was a very solid 9.5 out of 10 season, and I'm only giving it that because from what I've seen, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get punched in the gut even harder for season 2, and I'm looking forward to everything that's going to happen there.
The pace is different in season 2, in a good way.
Okay.
Favorite episode of season 1 has, for me, Funda, it has to be where Zephyr Halima puts Dawn Day in his place, and I believe that was episode 8.
Episode 8, yes.
Where she tells him to end the Cleonic dynasty, and she reads him for filth.
Right, like man's really came in there
The
being
soulless
big and bad.
creature cannot recognize itself. Like, all of her speeches in 7 and 8, episode 7 and 8 have to be my favorite, just on the read of that arrogant Day.
and it didn't even come just from her. In those 2 episodes, Drawbridge was getting in his ass almost every 5 minutes. Because bitch, what? Excuse me? You did look, I saw what you did right there when you came in my room and how you saw this thing, right?
Exactly.
But that's okay. That's okay, because I really hope that like you did see something. Like, I'm really, really glad that you said you did, because the emptiness that somebody might feel if they went through all that and they
I wouldn't wish that on
nothing,
anyone.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Ooh.
And baby boy just sat there like
the pearls. Did she just take my jewels?
The reads from Dermazal. You know what? I have to give her own category. Okay, the petty meter is strong.
It was strong with her.
This one, and I am giving her a 10 out of 10. No holds barred for this whole season. Every read that she gave was accurate and precise.
Her and Salvor are my favorite characters.
Oh, the greatest.
They are.
The greatest. My Lady Lawrence Corner McQueen.
Yes,
another show you need to watch. Yes, if you have not started Foundation,
baby.
Lauren,
you will binge watch. You will be sorry you did not know about it before, and then you'll catch up to season 2. So,
right, and then you'll be like, "Why did nobody tell me?" This is your notice, okay? We are officially sending the Raven. This is your notice. Yeah,
All
dude,
right.
the clapbacks from Dermazol alone, they deserve their
Oh,
own
yes.
award.
Yes, she did. You know
But
why?
yes, yes, see, yes,
So
we
I
did skip
I
that
did
part.
forget
Let's
to
talk on
mention
that.
that part. Yes,
Yes,
Luna, after she killed Day, and after she had told him that yes, I am loyal to Empire above all, and they walked
above
out of that room
all.
and she went back to her own room, she was distraught. And this is why I don't think that her programming allows her to do anything else but protect Empire, even from the Cleons,
And yeah,
because she was
protect
in
them from
pain over
themselves.
having to hurt him. And I think she does love
Yeah,
him, but it was painful for her to have to do that.
to have to do that, right? Because of the programming she's in, there's no other way that she could have seen a good way forward. No, this is not only is he already a known defect because just of his color blindness, but look at the damn judgment that the rationalization in this kid's mind. You can't fix that. And I think that is a great also callback to what she said today and the reason she actually initiated starting to sleep with him is because she thought
You're
that shall
skipping.
movement would
Don't
help
stop
change
it.
him.
Don't.
What is that
You
skipping?
can't.
I,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could have
You're
sworn that she did
spoiling.
that in
That
like
was season
episode
2.
9. Okay,
No,
well,
she didn't.
sorry. Well, maybe strike that from the record, but I thought that conversation was had a little bit in one of her reads in
Mm-mm.
episode
Because
9.
we
Okay,
don't
my
know
bad.
that until season 2.
Okay, well, I'll expound more on that on season
and
2. That really
and
was just scratching the
in
surface of it all.
in rawest form in season episode 1, season 2. Whoa. I was like, what is
Just
happening? Mother lover
like
friend.
I am
Okay.
telling you all,
Yeah.
I would literally watch a whole side quest series of Dermazol on her own, navigating
I
through
think that's
this
quite possible.
existence.
She is a force to be reckoned with. And yeah,
Yes, she is.
I want to see more. I want to see more about that story. Plus, I do now
Okay,
we have
my
Chat
bad, Luna. You caught it too.
GPT.
My bad. Sorry.
we we have Chat GPT and all of this AI stuff happening in the real world. So yeah,
Yeah,
it would be a great
it's good
side
timing.
story tangent,
But
Oh
it's
gosh.
almost I could see something like this. Did you ever watch? Did you watch American Gods when it was on?
I saw the first season and then we changed our um package, so I didn't have stars
Mhm.
anymore. So I missed the next 2
Okay,
seasons,
I
I
I
think.
would say this would be a very two universes colliding that could be very interesting to see how they operate. And
Really?
that I write fan fiction because I don't know if you knew, but one of my favorite things is crossovers and putting worlds together that people don't think could go together. And I've been quite successful at convincing people, like, this shit could happen. And that's not me bragging. I'm just telling you what be in the reviews on my stories.
Mhm.
I think that could be just wow. The old gods and the new gods, but then you put that against a monarchy that kind of sees themselves as gods and taking over the whole new world as it would be. And yes, heavy echoes
It
of
has heavy
Westworld.
echoes of
Like
West.
that's
I more so Westworld for me, not the
yeah.
God.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
more
I
so
absolutely
Westworld.
agree
It's
with the
very
Westworld
restful esque,
connection.
and I wonder if that's where her beginnings are, because there's some things
Yeah.
mentioned in season 2 that I'm
How
like,
far back does she
ah,
go?
yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god, dude!
That would be so
That just opens up even more avenues of
good
awesomeness
call
that they
out on the Westworld. Who
could
called
go.
that
Oh
out?
yeah, kudos to you, Luna. Absolutely.
Oh, Luna, yeah.
Oh, that is a good breadcrumb. Damn.
That would be dope.
That
That
because
I
yeah,
could
we know
see.
she is super duper old So, who would she be in Westworld? Maeve.
She'd be Maeve. Or,
Because Maeve will literally do
well, yeah.
anything that she needs to not only to protect her daughter, but anything that she needs to protect herself for whatever may come in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've seen, Dermazole, if she needs to throw hands and go ham, she absolutely will do that. And Maeve is the exact same way.
And with a straight face, too. She shows no
The
emotion.
story fucking writes itself. Oh, damn it. I gotta put a pin in that now. I have to put a pin in that now.
We can revisit that in season 2. I'm gonna end now because I have to actually go to the store.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. Yeah. You still have the weekend chores.
I have
to
my
do
last
for
minute
adulting.
prep. Yeah, my last minute prep for this week.
Absolutely.
So.
All right.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
to our ladies that came in, Luna, Lauren's Corner, Mother Roan, Lady V stopped in for a bit, and I did see some of our lurkers coming in with the numbers that did not jump into the chat, but we see y'all. We appreciate all of you guys being here too. Thank you for coming. Come back again. Remember, next week we'll be off. We'll be starting back again either next Sunday or next Thursday.
We can do Sunday
once
or Thursday.
Is back in.
No, I won't be back the following Sunday. I'll be traveling.
Okay, so Thursday.
It'll be the Thursday for sure. Okay.
All right, so Thursday, not this Thursday coming, the next Thursday will be season 2, episode 1 and 2, and we'll chat about where the dynasty has been and where all of our minions are. Aside from that, there are some very cool misadventures coming along the way, and I'm very much looking forward to them. Let's see. For myself individually, coming up on Monday, I will be with Meeks and hopefully Lady D will be on with us talking about the Wheel of Time.
I caught up, girl. That's a good review.
Okay, yeah. If you want to jump in, just let me know. Let's see. Tuesday. Duh.
You said it's tomorrow? Tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. Monday as in tomorrow. Yeah, you're right. You'll be gone.
Doing my hair, girl.
Well, you rewatch later. Okay, so Monday, Wheel of Time. Tuesday, I'll be on with DJ and Fandom D. I think we only have one more left for Only Murders in the Building, and that's what we'll be doing that Tuesday, wrapping that up for the season. Then Thursday, be on again with the boys on DJ's channel for Ahsoka, and I believe it'll be the finale for Ahsoka as well. Friday, is this Friday? Yes, it's either this Friday or next Friday. We're doing some Jackbox games with Citadel of Trivia, which are always fun. And then we'll be just starting that cycle over again. I think on Tuesday, BDJ and Fandom will start tackling Loki. That's come out. I don't know what the new thing is we'll be covering on Thursday. And probably Gen V for the boys. We'll see how that goes, though. So stay tuned for that. We always got things popping up. If you want to follow me on the Twitteros or on Instagram, my links are below. And you can find Funda also on Instagram on her motivational, inspirational page to follow her and see all the goodness that she's got going on as well.
Dust the cobwebs off of that while I'm on vacation. Hopefully I'll get inspired.
There you go. You will have time.
Yes,
all right, so we are going to get out of here on that note, y'all. Thank you for being here with us for the full season. We'll be back pretty soon. And also, again, the spooky season is upon us now that we are officially in October. We're going to be doing a few different things with some of our friends coming through. Fun is going to join us for one. What are we talking about, cuz? Some vampire?
We're going to rate top 10 favorite scary movies of all time.
Is it a scary movie? What am I doing vampires with?
We said vampires and werewolves. Was it just vampires? I don't know.
I think it's just it's just vampires. No, werewolves. I'm doing with my little sister.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yes.
All right. So then
come through for those countdowns. We're going to talk about just random things. I think me, DJ, and Fandom, we're going to talk about Killer Clowns from Outer Space. If you've not seen that old school, cheesy, ridiculous movie about killer clowns from outer space, I think you should go check that out. It's probably free on Tubi right now as we speak, and it's one of those campy, late 80s, early 90s horror movies that they're not great, but they have such a good following, and they hold all of our hearts hostage just because. So go check them out and check out the schedule. I'll probably get it up sometime next week so you can be prepared for what's going down. We got a few people coming through. We're going to do a whole bunch of different countdowns. Like I said, we're doing vampires, another one with the werewolves, and our favorite witches with my ladies from Drawbridge Media, Abby and Melissa. So stay tuned. We got some fun things coming around.
Yep.
So be great to each other and be safe out there because this world is absurd. And we always want to see y'all back here, safe and sound, chat about these nerd things. So have a good rest of your weekend and a great week. Catch y'all on the next one.
Bye.